Hello and welcome to episode 35 of the Churner's Digest. My name is Alex, otherwise known as Fear the Z, and you know what time it is. Disclaimer, I'm not a financial or tax advisor. This is not financial or tax advice. This is for entertainment purposes only, but please enjoy. If you want to support, I have a Patreon, patreon.com/Churner's Digest. I share lightning deals there, which are just more timely alerts. There's one this week that actually hasn't expired, so I'll be sharing that shortly. We have a referral page that has some referral links. It's hard to keep that updated, but if there's anything on there that is outdated or something that you're interested in, you can send me a message on Discord, Reddit, churnersdigest@gmail.com. However you want to communicate, happy to give you a referral link or just the chat. Intro music is done by my brother's band, Sweaty Lemons. They are supposed to have an album coming out here soon. I know they're still working through stuff, so I'll keep y'all posted. As always, shout out to Kung Fuer and Cleed for the Cleed tier. All right, this week's going to be pretty short. I was contemplating just skipping this week, but I'm going to be home in Jersey with relatives coming up this weekend into next week, so probably won't get one out, so I wanted to get something out there. So to start, I saw on Reddit that a user Stefan Cevallos 905. They were talking about their U.S. Banker Shop rewards card, and they were kind of complaining about the card and how it isn't great, and they don't love the cash back, and they don't love the card, and it's kind of cheap feeling, and there's a $95 annual fee. But they said that in the title, they said that there's an LED light in the card, but it's very dim, and I was like, what? And I was reading, and people are also saying, like, LED light? What? It turns out that in the card, there is an LED attached to the NFC antenna. So when pay terminals send power to the card to make the card generate its random number and send the information back to the pay terminal, it utilizes that minuscule power to power an LED, which is the first time I've seen any card do that. I don't see it mentioned on US Bank Shopper Rewards website anywhere, but that's pretty neat. It turns out it's pretty dim, and I shared that in the Simple Finance Discord, and Wardanch decided, hey, I have this card. Do you mean like the little semi-transparent U.S. Bank logo? And I was like, yeah, I guess it's in there. And they decided to take the card and cut it open, and lo and behold, there is a little tiny LED in there. They weren't able to power it because cutting it was kind of destructive, and it ruined the ability for the chip to power. But they were able to put a little flashlight behind the U.S. Bank logo, and it does in fact light up. So behind the little U.S. Bank logo, if you have the card, there's a little LED chip. So if you NFC or you tap to pay with that card, you should notice the card light up, at least dimly, but it does light up. There's not a lot of power that's sent back and forth, but I thought this was a really interesting way that they decided to use that power. I mean, it's just there regardless, so why not tap into it? It doesn't affect NFC at all. Next, Chase launches a tiered sign-up bonus for the Chase in Cash, as well as a relationship bonus. So I'm not going to read through the exact details, but essentially you can earn $350 after spending $3,000 in the first 3 months, earn an additional $400 when spending $6,000 in the first 6 months. In addition to that, you can get a 10% relationship bonus for having a Chase business checking account. So, and the sign-up bonus does not get the 10% boost. I guess that's pretty interesting. If someone actually uses the card for a legitimate business and has a Chase business account with Chase, then they get a nice little boost. But the total sign-up bonus would be $750, which is lower than sign-up bonuses we've seen for the card in the past, which is $900. So it's a bit of a downgrade. And even if you max out the 5% category and get the 10% bonus, it's still not super great compared to the previous bonus. So I figured I'd share that. It's interesting to see that Chase is kind of going the Bank of America route with doing relationship bonuses because they have their preferred rewards program. I believe Chase has done something similar in the past. According to Dr. Credit, Chase used to offer a similar relationship bonus in the Chase app I preferred, but that was removed many years ago. So interesting to see that something similar is popping back up. And the card space has kind of gotten stagnant of late and might get worse as time comes. I'll talk about that shortly, but I guess we'll see what's going to happen to the space. Next, I was reading through our credit cards on Reddit, and someone shared that there is a credit union in Hawaii called Hawaii State Federal Credit Union that has an always cash always cash Visa signature card that gets 2.5% cash back on all spend. Any spend over $5,000 in 1 month will get 1.25% cash back. And there's no fee and no foreign transaction fees. And it also comes with rent-a-car, collision damage warranty. I think it's CDW is extended warranty, purchase protection, return protection, price protection, and cell phone insurance. Of course, it's super strict. You have to live inside of Hawaii. And there's also a specific carve-out that if you have the card and you move to Iowa, you have to no longer use the card. And reading through the card agreement, it seems like there's a particular legislation in Iowa that they don't want to comply with. Let's see. What clause was this? Clause 15. Your right to dispute billing errors. Reading the notice entitled Your Billing Rights that immediately follows Section 33 of this agreement, it contains important information regarding your... This is the wrong section. Wow, I'm so sorry you had to listen to that. Here we go. Residents of Iowa. If you are any card holder in the is a resident of state of Iowa and agree to notify HSFCU immediately and cease all use of the account. It is against HSFCU rules for Iowa residents to use a HSFCU credit card accounts because of the Iowa Lender Credit Act. I tried to read through the Iowa Lender Credit Act, and it was pretty dense, and I kind of gave up, and that's as far as my interest went. I just thought it was interesting that there's a specific carve-out for state residents of Iowa because of this Iowa Lender Act. But also in this thread, people mentioned that there's another card in the Cincinnati area that also offers 2.5% cash back, and I forgot where I saw it. I think it was in this Flyer Talk thread that they linked to on the subreddit, and links are always in the show notes on the companion site at feedthezee.com. But there's also a 5% cash back on all purchases card, which is people carrying more credit union. Obviously, this is a very restrictive membership. You have to be in like around the Great Lakes. I think I'm really bad at geography, but it looks like Green Bay, Howard, Marinette. But if you're in that area, it seems to be a straight 5% cash back on all purchases made on their card, which is pretty incredible. You can earn up to $600 every year. You can do $50 each month in cash back. So that would turn out to be... I don't know how to do math, apparently. $1,000 to spend a month. So, I mean, that's pretty great. If you are interested in a 5% cash back on all categories, I have a episode, which is a topic episode on Curve and Bank of America combination, which all purchases on Curve using a Bank of America customized cash card set to online shopping, all purchases made on Curve routed to that card will be qualified for online shopping, except for the specific carve-outs that card has for categories like medical and I think tax services like federal payments. But all categories ring up as online shopping, and if you have preferred reward status, which I do, I'm in the platinum status, which gets me a 50% boost to my credit card rewards. That card earns 3% on online shopping, so with 50% boost, it's 4.5%. With Platinum Honors, you get a 75% boost, which would be 5.25% on all purchases. The only carve-out is that's capped at $2,500 spend per quarter, but I have 3 of those cards right now, and I'll be getting 4 shortly. And Curve also requires it to be a MasterCard, but you can product change your Bank of America Customized Cash Rewards Visas to a MasterCard. You have to call and ask them to do that. That's all detailed in the topic episode. If you're interested, I'm not going to dive into any more, but seeing this 5% cashback on all purchases card made me think of that. Next, I applied for and was denied for a Flagstar Bank account. They have a checking account bonus, which is in Arizona, California, Florida, Indiana, MI, Mississippi, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and WI, Wisconsin. Michigan is MI. I was close. The requirements are, I would go for the Flagstar Ready checking bonus, which is the $250. The $350 requires you to have a balance of, I think, $25,000 with the credit union to avoid the monthly service charge. But the $250 bonus is maintain an average balance of $500 or more and have 1 or more direct deposits totaling $500. I applied and was denied. They told me We cannot process your application. This application has been denied according to the current approval rules. My guess is checks. And I mentioned last episode that I got my checks report in physical form, and I went through and read through my checks report to see what my status is. And my current status is 12 in the past 6 months, 30 in the past 12 months, 48 in the past 24 months. So I churn bank accounts pretty heavily. But normally I don't get denied. I'm just starting to see more and more denials, which is a bit sad. Next, I just want to call out something that I did because I got a new card, and it was a bit annoying that I've been doing it. So I opened up a Redstone Federal Credit Union Visa Signature card, which earns 5% back. Well, the one I really use it for is 5% back on restaurants up to $7,000 in spend per year. And I forgot, since I opened this card and was meeting the sign-up bonus, and I reached it, and I was like, oh, I'll just continue using it for restaurants. I forgot that right now the quarter for Discover is restaurants, and I like to deplete my soonest expiring offer first, so I should have been using my Discover card because that's $1,500 in spend for the first quarter for restaurants, and then use my Redstone card for the extra $7,000. I don't think I spend $7,000 on restaurants in a year. If I go over to my spending analysis for 2023, which was last year, I actually do. Last year I spent almost double that, $14,000 on restaurants. So I'm going to eventually hit my limit on my Redstone card, so I should have used my Discover to not eat into that next limit of $7,000. But luckily next quarter for Chase is restaurants, as I discussed, and that'll get 7% back on the Chase Freedom Flex and 5% on Chase Freedom. So I'll be sure to use that then. And also Chase Freedom Flex is a MasterCard, and I can use it in Curve, which makes my life a lot easier. But I thought I'd just call that out. That's something that irks me. Like, as I discussed last episode, I just enjoy the credit card game and try and optimize things, and missing that optimization is kind of like oh man. Next, I don't know if I've discussed them prior in previous episodes. I have not, but there is a fintech app called Blue Dot where you can get some pretty great rewards for electric vehicle charging, and they also offer debit card funding. And I'm a bad boy, and I was just using them for debit card funding. And I was doing that for a couple months, and they finally shut me down. I got my card frozen. I was just debit card funding and then cash apping out, and they finally shut down my debit card. And then I received an email within 24 hours later or 12 hours later saying that they've closed my account due to suspicious activity. So, I mean, that's totally warranted. I was just depositing in and depositing out, and it was a matter of time before that dried up, but that's gone for me. If you're interested in that, take a look. It's decent, but do be wary that they are prone to shutdowns. And then after they shut me down, they put the debit card funding, quote unquote, under maintenance. So I'm really curious to see if they caught on to it and decided to shut it down. But then they sent out a message with a rocket emoji that says, debit card funding is back. Get in and fund your account. I just thought it was weird that the dichotomy of shutting me down for debit card funding and then being like, oh my God, debit card funding's back. Come in here and do it. It's an interesting combination. Next, I've talked about this person in the past, but there's a Curve insider who I've verified to be an actual Curve insider. They shared that an update, and recently there's been some discussion around Curve, and I'll talk that in a little bit. Not specifically Curve, but Curve adjacent. And they shared that Curve is trying to fix a relationship with their issuing bank Hatch. Previously, this insider thought that Curve was going to shut down in the U.S. because it was just bleeding money, and their relationship with the issuing bank was pretty rocky. But apparently they're starting to fix things, and Hatch is giving them some money to try and work on it. So we'll see how long it lasts, but according to them, they think that they're trying to at least mend the U.S. relationship, not expand, but just maintain the current market. I'm a heavy user of Curve, so I hope it doesn't leave. But as I'll discuss here, there seems to be an alternative popping up, and we'll see if that takes off. Next, a user reached out to me on Patreon. I should have written down who that was. I think it was someone messaged me on Patreon. Sorry, dead air. Direct messages. Is this who it was? Yeah, Richard. Richard reached out to let me know that the $1 balance forgiveness that I was touting for my Patreon members to use to get free Patreon membership seems to have changed. It looks like Patreon's now charging sales tax on the $1 Patreon subscription, so it comes out to like $1.07. One thing I will say is there are some cards that forgive larger than that. Discover, I think, forgives up to $2. And in addition to that, if your balance is $1.07, for example, if you manually pay off 7 cents and then let the statement close at $1 again, they will again forgive it. I know it takes some manual effort, but if you still want to do that, that's still an option. And I also gave a link in the show notes to Doctor of Credit's page on small balance forgiveness if you want to read up on it. Next, Chime was offering for hashtag Chime Tipping Week. If you send someone $10 on Chime with their like in-system Chime paying system, they'll give you $10 back for free. So offered on the Patreon, anybody that wanted to send me $10, I'd send it back. Someone named, I think, Dave? What was their name? Man, I should have written this stuff down, Alex. Gosh. Who am I? Kevin. Kevin sent me $10. I sent it back. And sending it back does work. So I had a $0 balance. They sent me $10. I sent it back to them to make my account balance zero again. Turns out you have to include a hashtag, and I forgot to include it, so my $10 back didn't count. But then user AGG on Simple Finances sent me $10, and I sent them $10 back with the hashtag again. So I sent that on the 19th of March, and it posted on the 22nd. So that was a free $10. That's now expired, but that was a nice $10. Thanks, Ag, and thanks, Richard. Next, a lightning deal that was active and that is active, and I shared on the Patreon, I think yesterday. DoorDash has $100 gift cards on sale for $85 at Best Buy. You can buy 3 digital and 1 physical. Check to see if you have any Best Buy offers in Chase or Bank of America or Citi. You can just activate the offer, and I don't think it really knows if you purchase a gift card or not, so that could be a decent little stack there. Sorry, I dropped the wine cork I was playing with. Anyway, next, Robinhood. If you remember, Robinhood purchased the X1 card a while back, and they kind of, I think, either closed the accounts or a lot of people started closing their accounts. But they're announcing tonight, the 26th of March, I think it's 7:30 Eastern, what their plans are. They're trying to like promote it a bunch, and they're offering for 10 referrals, you get a gold card. And they posted some, I think, a basketball player with like the gold card on a chain walking into like the arena. Super corny, but I mean, as someone who collects cards, I'd love to get that gold card. We'll see if I open the card just so I can get it. I really shouldn't, though. I shouldn't. Let's move on. Next, I had a Reddit user by the name of Scott reach out over Discord or over DMs on Reddit because I shared on our churning about this podcast. So if you're here from our churning, welcome. I wasn't posting there because the community didn't really seem to like me sharing it. I was getting a bunch of downvotes, and I don't really care about downvotes, but I don't want to post something that people aren't enjoying. So I stopped posting it there for a while, maybe like a couple months hiatus. And I posted on this past Sunday just saying, hey, I've still been updating my Patreon, I've still been updating my podcast, and give a bunch of links to like my CFPB complaint, like saga with Nesswell, as well as my discussion on the Discover Capital One acquisition, and one more topic that's escaping me. But Scott reached out and said, hey, thanks for sharing. I like the podcast. I have a blog that I post on, and I haven't been posting on it too recently, and offered to cross-post some stuff on there. So I figured I'd share their site. It's churningwallet.com. They haven't posted since July of last year, but they said they're going to try and get back into it. So shout out to Scott. Thanks for reaching out, and I always love meeting new community members and chatting. Next, on our credit cards, someone just felt like sharing that you can still product change to the old classic Chase Freedom. You specifically have to say Chase Freedom with Ultimate Rewards, and I like this user's take on this. They said, I honestly wonder if this is a specific legal or contract language that is specifically what you have to ask for, because unless you use the very specific words Chase Freedom with Ultimate Rewards, they'll tell you no Visa Freedom exists and act like you're a lunatic. But you use the exact words Chase Freedom with Ultimate Rewards, and they say, yes, absolutely, we can do that for you, sir. Just one moment. And I'm starting to believe this. I wonder if it's some kind of legality of the product is there, but you have to specifically reference it and know of it in order to get it. And it's just nice to know that the card still exists. A lot of people are like, why do you care about this card? It's more of just an option to downgrade to if you have a Chase card and you don't already have the Chase Freedom Flex, and you maybe want to get a sign-up bonus for that card. It's normally like $200 for spending $500, and sometimes they do like 5% on gas or groceries for a year, and that stacks with the quarterly categories, which is nice. So that won't eat up one of those. It won't eat up your sign-up bonus, as well as is a Visa. If you like Visa cards, it'll work at Costco at least, so that's always an option. Next, there's been a lot of buzz in the Simple Finances Discord in the Curve thread, as well as now the Cloaked thread. So Cloaked is this like all-in-one product. It's kind of odd. It's a subscription service where it's essentially trying to protect your identity. So you can cloak your phone number by making a fake, like a one-time use phone number, or like a routing phone number where you can set up a number to give to people and it'll route calls if you receive a call to that number you gave to your actual phone number. Same with email addresses, same with passwords. It's like a password manager. It'll also like protect your accounts online. It'll also allow you to create usernames and passwords, and as well as card numbers, which is where it gets interesting for us. So the CEO was actually on the Discord chatting about it a bit, and they shared that unlike Curve, who's did not set a good precedent with these card issuers like Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and American Express, because Curve does not work with American Express or Visa credit cards, but does work with all the debit cards, as well as Percents. If you remember Percents, it was a competitor, but they apparently just flat out lied to Visa, which was what caused them to get a cease and desist order. Cloaked is working directly with these networks to make contracts to where these networks understand what they're getting themselves into. This is a card number that will be masking your underlying card number and allow you to make purchases on your actual card. Now, where this comes in handy is specifically, since the purchase is coming through a fake credit card number, you then have to route it to a card that you want. And key term is this routing feature, similar to Curve, where you can make a purchase on one card, or similar to like PayPal Key, but not so that doesn't show up as a debit card. You give one card number. That card number will charge an underlying credit card, which will then allow you to earn rewards on the underlying credit card. They are currently not passing through the merchant category code. It just comes through, I think, as like some online service, but they plan on passing through merchant category codes. They're working through changing their issuing bank. I think it's like People's Bank or something right now, and they're transitioning to something else. But I just thought that was interesting. It does require a subscription. I think it's like $7.50 a month, but they have some promo right now for, I think it's like $40 for the year. I signed up for a month just to see how it is. They don't have a card yet. They don't support digital wallets. They're, again, waiting for this new bank partner to come out, because there is legwork that it does take to set that up. But without like a physical card or the digital wallet, it's not super interesting to me. This isn't just for online purchases for me. If it's online, I can pick the card that I want. So I wouldn't really use it for this cloaked feature of hiding my card numbers, because, I mean, let's be honest, it's a credit card. I'm not liable for anything that I don't want to purchase on there anyway. I can just get a new card number or just dispute the charge. But what I'm interested in is one card number that can route to other cards. So if you're interested in that, you can sign up for Cloaked, and if you're on the Simple Finances Discord, you can reach out to the CEO and get access to Cloaked Pay. It's currently in beta, and they're not really giving access out, so I just have it now just because I was one of the early members, but I'll keep y'all posted if things come of that. Next, user on Reddit, arbitrary username 314, shared that Visa and MasterCard have come to an agreement to start capping swipe fees. And I don't pay for Bloomberg, so they put a text copy on the subreddit, which is very nice of them. Essentially, they're creating a settlement where they're going to start lowering the cost basis of interchange fees slowly over the next like 5 to 7 years. Let's see. As part of the settlement, Visa and MasterCard agreed to reduce swipe fees. They charge each merchant by at least 4 basis points for at least 3 years. And for a period of 5 years, the average site-wide, system-wide swipe fee for both networks must be at least 7 basis points below the current average, subject to review by an independent auditor. This only applies to Visa and MasterCard because they're kind of viewed as a duopoly, even though American Express and Discover do exist, and Capital One plans on buying Discover, so that makes that deal even more lucrative because now Visa and MasterCard are being limited, but Discover and American Express aren't, albeit they are much lower players in the game. I think they take up like maybe 7% of the total swipes, maybe 10% total, two of them combined. So they're super small players, but it is very interesting that this is coming out. I'm curious to see how this is going to work for credit card rewards because most of that's funded through interchange fees. And they also state that merchants, let's see if I can find it. Here it is. The quote is, merchants will also be allowed to offer discounts to customers using cards from certain banks. One of the examples was if you say, give a discount for using a Chase Freedom Unlimited card as opposed to a Chase Sapphire Reserve card. Retailers will now be able to charge customers for using a Visa or MasterCard, and they'll be able to adjust their prices based on the cost of accepting different credit cards. That can mean, for instance, as I said, Chase Sapphire Reserve card with Visa Infinite, which comes with the higher fees, charge the customer more than Chase Freedom Unlimited, which would be a lower fee card because it's not a Visa Infinite. I totally see businesses doing this. I mean, they're already not the ones that are setting these fees. They use Clover or they use Toast, and those companies know what card is being used and what the interchange is, and they can just work it into their pricing plan to charge less. But we'll see what comes of it. Hopefully it doesn't have too much impact on the reward space, but time will tell. And then finally, I saw a post on Reuters that Walmart can end its Capital One credit card partnership early, U.S. judge rules. So a little while ago, Capital One issues the Walmart credit card, and Walmart, I forget when, maybe like a year or so ago, stated that Capital One was in breach of their contract. The problems apparently were uncovered in late 2022 and early 2023. Based on the verbiage of the contract, Walmart said it could end the partnership if Capital One failed to meet any of the 13 critical customer service standards at least 5 times in a 12-month period. Capital One said the retailer could invoke that right only if it failed any single category standard at least 5 times. So basically comes down to how the verbiage is written, and Walmart disagrees with Capital One and how the verbiage really works. And according to the judge said that Capital One's interpretation would leave Walmart powerless even if the bank failed all 13 customer service standards just 4 times in a year, 52 failures in all for 10 years. That's true, because it would have to be 5 for one, but if you do 4 for all of them, you're not on grounds. So the judge directed both companies to advise by April 19th on how to resolve the remaining claims and counterclaims. Curious to see what happens. I don't know what level of court this is. It says a federal judge, so it could go like all the way up to I don't know if Supreme Court deals with cases like this, but curious to see what happens. I know that Walmart has done this to their issuer in the past. Let me see if I can dig it up. It was Synchrony. So 2018. Here's an article. Walmart Synchrony breakup pinned to application underwriting. So Synchrony Financial runs an exclusive credit card issuer for Walmart. Came to an end in July with reports that Walmart decided this past summer to switch to Capital One. Walmart executive wanted Synchrony to share more of the revenue from cards and approve more applications. The paper noted the end of the relationship underscores how retailers are changing the game for credit card issuers, requiring the likes of Synchrony and Citigroup to change how they operate. So Walmart's done this in the past. I know that they now own One, like the fintech app, and I think they offer like 5% back on their debit card with One. I wonder if Walmart's just going to try and issue their own card. They are huge. I can see them doing it. But I guess we'll see. And that's it for this week. Kind of short, but I hope you enjoyed as always. This show is really only shared by word of mouth. As I said, I've shared on Our Turning before, but they haven't really liked them in the past. They seem to like this most recent post, so maybe I'll do like maybe once a month synopsis of some episodes just to try and get some more traffic. But if you want to share this podcast and you like it, please do. Otherwise, thanks for listening as always, and I hope you have a good one. Bye, y'all.